Attitude check. Bronco pride.
Hey everybody, welcome in. We are pleased to be joined by one of the staples of the FSU Broncos program for the last couple of years. It's Elton Andrew. You can see him kicking field goals for the Broncos, and he's coming off a great 4-for-4 performance on the road at Lincoln University against the Lions, and is fresh off being named the CIAA Special Teams Player of the Week. And Elton, thanks for joining us. Wanted to talk to you not only about the season so far and your journey as a kicker in football, but a little bit more about your background. And of course, this week when Virginia Union comes to town, it's Military Appreciation Week. And your time is split between not only football, but also participating in the ROTC with plans for a military career after you graduate. So can you tell us just a little bit about that balance that you play right now, both playing for the Broncos football team and then also being a part of ROTC and what's to come for you?
Yes, sir. So basically, it's a pretty good schedule. So football practice at 7 in the morning, and then I'll have class right after about 8. And it's pretty balanced out, but it's class, didactic kind of stuff, and then teaching other cadets on Thursdays. So balancing that isn't too difficult, and the coaches are pretty flexible, so it makes it really easy. But it's a really good program. I've been in it. This is my 4th year. Mm-hmm. So I just got awarded a pilot slot. So after graduation, I'll be going to be a pilot, which is always a dream of mine. So it's really good. So I'm very thankful for where I'm at with football and ROTC, and very thankful.
What inspired you to get involved with ROTC?
So both of my parents were in the military, and most of my family was in the military. So I always knew my degree is in education. So I always wanted to impact people's lives in a way, but I always really wanted to be a fighter pilot. So deep down, that was a dream I had. I thought it was a pipe dream, but then I figured out ROTC was a thing, and you just need a degree and take a bunch of tests basically to get a pilot slot. So I worked really hard, and I got an award pilot slot in May. So it's been really good.
You ever been in a fighter pilot simulator or anything like that before?
Yeah, a little bit when I was a kid. My mom would take us to like air shows and museums for space and air type of stuff.
Yeah. I understand you played a ton of sports growing up, as you were just telling me. So how do you go from playing all the sports that you did to eventually being a college football kicker? How'd you kind of get to that path?
So I basically just I was always a very athletic person, and I really liked soccer. My stepdad was my soccer coach growing up pretty much. So I was always known for having a strong leg. So we would do PKs. I'd be the one taking the PKs basically. And one day, all my best friends actually played football, and they're like, "Why don't you just come out and kick a ball?" So I put a ball down on the field. It was actually in a cone, like a training cone, and I kicked it, and it went way throughout the uprights. And then they were like, "That's kind of crazy." And I looked down, and I was standing on the 50-yard line. So they were like, "You should probably do something with it." So that's pretty much how it went from there.
How do you keep the leg fresh throughout the course of a football season to make sure you can go out there each week and kick field goals?
Honestly, it's probably the most difficult part about being a kicker because everybody has a hard job out on the football field. You know, everybody's getting beat up and stuff, but people that are on the line and whatnot, they're getting jammed up top and stuff like that. But being a kicker or a punter, you're using just one part of your body, and it's kind of an unnatural motion you're doing as well. So me and Jake, our punter, we pretty much just deal with a lot of like hip flexor injuries. So it's just nagging injuries, but just going to the training room, Kenny Lassiter and Cam, they take real good care of us. So we're feeling ready to kick just about every day.
You know, there's little personnel groups on the football field that it's important that those guys are always in sync. You got the left tackle and the quarterback; those guys got to be, best buds. And then there's you and Jacob, your punter, and also your placeholder for these kicks. So can you tell me a little bit about that relationship for you guys on and off the field?
Yeah, so Jacob, he's a really good punter, and he's a really genuine friend, and we've been friends since the first day I got here. He's very talented, but off the field, he's pretty much like an uncle to my son. Like, he's just an all-around honest, great person. So he's dependable off the field, but then when we're on the field, he's my punter and he's my holder, and he's never let me down. He's consistent, he's reliable. He's pretty much literally the perfect teammate for me. So we pretty much feed off each other. We encourage each other, and if one of us has a bad kick, the other person's saying, "Hey, short-term memory," because we know what we're capable of doing.
You mentioned your son. Told me he's about to get ready to turn 3 years old, where he can finally kind of figure out, okay, that's a college football kicker, nice. And so, how rewarding is it for you to have him kind of watching you on the sidelines? And what sort of an example do you try to set for him, even at such a young age right now, doing all the different things that you do?
Yeah, so I mean, there was a big difference between me before I had Grayson and then me after I had him. So once I had Grayson, I pretty much realized that I had to grow up and that everything that I was doing was going to be reflected off of him. So when I go up there and I kick field goals, I don't want Grayson to grow up and people be like, "Oh, your dad was an okay kicker." You know what I mean? Like I want them to be like, "Oh, he was a really good kicker and he was dependable." So he's a lot of motivation for me. He's a motivation for me in school to go and work hard to gain the pilot slot so that I can be able to give him whatever he needs in the future. So he's just a blessing.
Going back just a little bit, backtracking here about kind of your upbringing and growing up in a military family. Did you move around a lot, or what part of the country did you grow up in?
So I've pretty much always been near the east. I pretty much remember being at Fort Gordon in Georgia and moving with my parents a decent amount. I was pretty young. They got out when I was about 4, so it wasn't too much. But between North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, it was pretty good moving around.
Crossed a lot of states off the list in the process. Worth mentioning too, on top of all this, so ROTC, dad, kicker. I know you work an additional job as well, working in the food industry. It's just like, how do you manage your time? Like, what's your process? Do you have a kind of a daily planner, or a schedule, or phone reminders? What do you do to just divide your time out?
I realized about 2 years ago I was going to need to start utilizing a planner. So that's one of the things that I use to help a lot. And then pretty much making sure that my days are consistent and making sure I'm not deviating off of anything that I'm supposed to do. So there's not really many a time where I'm doing something that is not productive. So if my daily routine's pretty productive, and whatever I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing: schoolwork, work, anything like that. So it's time management isn't too bad for me.
Lastly, this weekend against Virginia Union, military appreciation game. Do you get to play an additional role outside? I know obviously I focus about kicking and playing the game, but do you get to play any sort of additional role with some of the ceremonies surrounding the game this weekend?
I was going to ask Coach about being able to go out with Army ROTC and Air Force ROTC and holding the flag on the 50-yard line before the game. But I pretty much just need to check out on what time everything's going on so I can know where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. It's pretty cool that university has this type of a annual tradition too, to honor those that are active and have served. What kind of an impact do you think this game has made on you in the past?
I think it's amazing. I mean, this football game is marginally small compared to what it stands for on this Saturday. So for the veterans that come in, they get in free, and for the people that aren't able to be here. So I think we need to be cognizant of the meaning behind what Saturday is going to be. So.
Thanks again so much for joining us, Elton. You can see him out there on the field with the rest of the Broncos this weekend against Virginia Union. Great story. Obviously a very busy man, and we appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule to join us today as the FSU Broncos get ready to take on Virginia Union. So long, everybody.